get to know these ladies a little bit. We'll start with Jade. So Jade, how long have you been diving?
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, everyone. Okay, my name is Fazida, but better known as Jade. I actually took up my open water in 2004. So I think some of you haven't been born yet at that time. So I've been diving for over 20 years.
And how many dives do you have?
Roughly about 3,000.
3,000 dives. Wow. And then how many liveaboards have you been on? Of those 3,000, how many would you say you've been on liveaboards?
About half of that.
So 1,500 dives.
Roughly, no, about 1,000 lah. Okay, 1,000 on liveaboard. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess she really knows her stuff. Pagan?
Hi everyone, I'm Pagan. Hi. Okay. I think I also started my open water in 2004. Yeah, but I only really dive in the last 14, 15 years. Yeah, so I think I have about like 2,000 plus dive.
2,000 plus.
Yeah, 2,000 plus dive. But I would say that my LOB experience is maybe half of what Jay has. yeah, half of what Jay has. Correct.
And then Winnie?
Hi, my name is Winnie. I've been a very corporate worker all along, very different from the two of them who is very much in the dive industry. I've only been diving 3 years, got my certification in
2 years?
3 years now.
Yes.
Certified 2023 after the COVID. Clock in 150 dive. Not as much live aboard, but good 3 memorable, very quality live on board trips.
But for someone who's only dived recently, 150 dives is a lot. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes.
And then you've been on 3 liveaboards. Okay, so we all know that in general, everyone starts diving at a resort, correct? We all took our open water, we went to an island, went to the beach. Whether you stay at a homestay or a fancy resort, we all did resort. And because that's what everyone does. So at what point did you decide you're going to try to dive on a liveaboard? We'll start with Jay.
I took my open water in Tioman back in 2004. So I first heard about liveaboard diving, I think around 2009. But I only started my LOB trips on around 2010 in Tioman also. So yeah, so not many people know that we also have liveaboards in Malaysia. Yeah, so most of you think that LOB it's only Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, but we also have liveaboards in Malaysia. So I've heard a lot about liveaboard. I just wanted to try. I wanted to experience what it's like to do unlimited dives, on liveaboard. So that's what got me into, LOB diving.
Okay, and then Pagan?
I think we start with Calypso, yeah, in Tioman. That's how we started. That was my first experience.
So your first liveaboard was also on Calypso?
Yes.
Tioman.
I mean, that's the easiest accessible ROV that I had. And then I upgraded myself to Komodo straight away after that. Yeah, it was quite a shift. Yeah. And then I think for me, I would prefer LOB if they offer that, because it's convenient for me. Yeah. And it's nice that you can explore all the other dive sites that if you stay in the resort that you cannot go to. Yeah.
And Winnie, do I want to hear what your first liveaboard was?
I'm one of the odd, very lucky one. How I venture into my first liveaboard is because I won a lucky draw.
Oh!
And when I won a lucky draw to liveaboard in Maldives, I only clocked in 3 local dive streets. So one of the reasons why I clock in so many dives is I need to practice well in order to prep myself to be able to do a liveaboard, let alone in Maldives. So that was how I kind of ventured into my very first liveaboard. And ever since that, I fell in love with it. And yeah.
Did you find it different? Like, did you get seasick? You know, I get people who are so worried to go on liveaboard because they think they won't be able to sleep with a rocking motion, or they'll get seasick, or they need to feel the land on their feet. So for you, like being a new diver and immediately going to Maldives, how was your experience?
I handle seawater quite well. Very comfortable in water, even in normal local dives or overseas dive. I don't need seasick pill when I go out, compared to some of my other friends. So I survive in the boat for 7 nights. I think I only popped in 1 or 2 seasick pill when the waves was really, really choppy that night.
So you still bring seasick pill on the boat?
Yes, I bring along to stand by. I make sure I have all my medications with me for liveaboard, but on a normal occasion, I don't need seasick pill.
And then, do you guys have seasick problems? I mean, do you have to deal with seasickness?
I think only when, for example, like in Maldives, when they do the crossing and then the crossing is bad. That's when I really feel like I need a seasick pill. I think those are the rare times.
So even though you don't have the problem, you still bring the pill?
For me, yes, I bring enough pills for everyone. Yeah.
I've been blessed, I think. I do not get seasick. But recently when I went to Tubataha, the sea was quite choppy during the crossing. So that was the one and only time that I actually vomited. I didn't take the pill because some people, they took the pill first but they still vomited. But that trip, I didn't take the pill. I thought I could tahan, but I still vomited.
How bad was it?
It was, the boat was, it was going like that and like that also.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I once went on a liveaboard where I entered the room, and my bunk bed had padding, had a very thick layer of padding above my bed, and I was wondering why do you need to put a padding? And then once we left the harbor and made our way out, I never get seasick, by the way, but once we left the harbor and made our way out, then I realized, oh no. I quickly swallowed pill, ran back into the room, and I understand why they had this thick pad, because we were bumping up and down. You were crashing into the wall the whole 20-hour crossing. Yeah, but of course once you get there, then it's fine. But then, so some people have given tips that if you do have problems with seasickness, take a pill 20 minutes before you get on the boat. Then when you get on the boat, sleep. Then after you wake up, you're fine. Do you think this works for people who do trips?
I've seen it work on several people during my trips. Like I said, I'm blessed. I do not get seasick, but recently, the recent LOB trip, so after I vomited, I felt fine. So if you have to do it, do it. Don't hold it. Just let it go.
Okay. Now, so another thing is, all right, okay, so we know that some people do liveaboards because like Tubataha, there are no resorts. So to dive there, you have to take a liveaboard. But what if you go to a place like Raja Ampat? Say you go to Raja Ampat, where you have 2 options. You have resort and liveaboard. So how do you make your decisions? How do you decide whether to dive at a resort or liveaboard?
For me, for Raja Ampat, I think based on the route that they offer, I will for sure take LOB, not a resort. Because then they offer you more dive site that is more robust and make your trip worthwhile, right? So not just 8 days, 7 nights in just the island itself. And then there's a maximum distance you can go with the speedboat, right? Instead of an LOB. So I will do the same for Raja Ampat, for like Maldives as well. Yeah.
Well, for me, it depends on the location. Like Raja Ampat, it's very big. So if you do a resort diving, you can only focus on so much area. Yeah, it's a limited diving area that you can try and you can focus. But when you do liveaboard or LOB, the best thing is that the boat will move from one island to one island, so you get to explore more locations, more diving areas. So that's one of the factors that I mean that makes me decide whether I want to go LOB or want to stay at the resort. Yeah.
So you're saying that, okay, Raja Ampat is very big. Like say if you were to stay in Misol, you will only dive in Misol. Whereas if you do a liveaboard, you can cover Misol, Central, North. Okay, so some people would say it's like going to Europe and doing 5 countries in 1 week. That's a liveaboard. Or you can go to Europe and spend all 8 days in one country. What do you think?
I agree. I agree with that. So because even when you do locations like you mentioned, Raja Ampat, Maldives, several atolls, several islands. So if you do LOB, you can focus on like several countries, several European countries. But if you do resort diving, it's just one location. Of course, you get to explore more of that particular area, but it depends on what you do. If you want to focus on all the locations, LOB is the choice. So if you want to focus on just one specific area, let's say you want to do Central Raja Ampat alone, you could still do resort diving.
So, what about the price? Do you choose based on the price or dive sites? You know what I mean? Is it because the liveaboard is picking the sites, or is it because the liveaboard is more affordable than the resort in that area?
I think I choose that to offer the best experience for my divers, right, when they go. So I think based on what your question earlier, if you choose LOB, they offer the best of all the dive sites for your divers, right? But whereas if you say in like the resort, you can only dive that site only, right? So but then not all dive sites offer the same. Yeah, it's not the same. So if you do an LOB, they offer all the best dive sites for you. So you get the best of around that area. So I think that's what I really like about LOB. Yeah.
All right, Winnie, you have anything to add?
I don't quite agree with the statement whereby you go 7 different countries in one trip. How I would like to think about it is you get to know more of one country with LOB. For example, if any foreigner were to come to Malaysia to put a land-based contacts, foreigners come to Malaysia, they will see Twin Towers, KL Towers, shopping pavilion, maybe Batu Caves, and then say, I've been to Malaysia. So that's maybe resort dive. But to really know Malaysia, maybe they need to spend more time going to Langkawi or Penang or Johor or Malacca. That's what LOB are able to offer. So it's still within one country, but you get to see a bigger, wider culture. Different parts of the state's city have different to offer, i.e. our different dive sites and marine animals. Sometimes within the same country have different water temperature and different animals from one place to the other. So I think that's a lot more to offer. What I think is very different is also LOB cut short a lot of traveling time with speedboat. You eat, sleep, and all you have to do is just jump off the boat, and here you are at the dive site without needing to travel half an hour, 1 hour, sometimes more to go to a certain dive site. So that's what I enjoy about LOB.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the best things about LOB. You don't have to think about walking here and there. Everything is very near. Okay, then some of the concerns that I've heard about are dive guides. So, okay, let's just pick a location. Example, Triton Bay. As you know, I'm based there. Okay, so my dive guides live in Triton Bay, and we have 50 dive sites. So they dive the 50 dive sites every day, the whole season. They know where the frogfish is, where the pygmy seahorse is. They know where everything lives, yeah? And then a liveaboard comes by. They won't do 50 dive sites. They'll probably do 2 or 3 because they are selling Ambon, Triton Bay, Raja Ampat. You know, they're doing 10 days, so they will do 2 days maybe. What do you think about the dive guides on those trips, the Liveaboard trip versus the dive guide at the resort?
You go ahead first. Okay.
Well, okay. The dive guides, usually what happens is on a liveaboard, they will have one cruise director. So he controls all the schedule, where to go, which side you dive. So they also sometimes, I mean, if it's a big group, they will sometimes employ freelancers as your dive guide. So in general, this some of the freelancers, they may not be experts of the dive sites in their particular location. However, the the cruise director would actually brief them where to go and so on. But okay, personally, if I were to go to places like Lembe, they offer liveaboards, but I would choose a resort. Because Lembe, you know, it's a macro spot. You need guides who are familiar with the sites, who know where the critters are. Yeah, so you need somebody who is able to advise you. Because you pay so much, you want to try to get the best of everything. Yeah. So in instances like that, I would choose a resort. But if it's a general trip, like for example Maldives, Raja Ampat, or other locations, I don't mind. I would choose a liveaboard.
Yeah, good. I was just going to ask, because now these people will say, hey, Lembe, you say resort. Raja Ampat, you say liveaboard. How do I choose? And then, so example like places, like if they want to go to Komodo, where you have resorts, and it's a small area, not as big as Raja Ampat, and they have a liveaboard, how do people choose?
Komodo is a very tough question, right? Yeah, I understand. Because last time when we go Komodo, you only have LOB available. Now since the Liveaboard has opened up, they have a lot of land-based thing. But I can see the beauty of both sides. Because if you take the land-based, you still need to take like 1 or 2 hours before you reach the dive site. You need to do 3 dives and then you have to go back there, right? It's almost the same as LOB, but without the comfort of an LOB. So it depends, but because the price point is sensitive in a Liveaboard as well.
It's a lot cheaper, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Another perspective for someone who works in a corporate, LOB sometimes don't have very stable connection. So for someone who need to work, catch up on spreadsheet or sometimes join online meeting, they may want to do morning dives, afternoon then they stay in the land resort, catch up with their work, go on with their office meeting or whatsoever, then resort works in that way. LOB is for someone who really want to cut off from the work life, no connection, don't disturb me. If the connection is down, doesn't matter. So that works as well for those who are considering what type of holiday to go to as well.
That's a very good point. Not all liveaboards have installed Starlink. So not you might not have internet for 8 days, 10 days. So please, if you want to go liveaboard, check with your operator. Do you have Starlink? Whether I get internet? Yeah. Okay, so now I want to ask about fatigue, tiredness. Because you hear people like, oh, the liveaboard is dive, eat, sleep, 4 dives a day. So compare resort to liveaboard, would you say one is more tiring than the other from your experience?
From my experience, and I have done quite a bit for both LOB and resort from last year until now, right? I would say that the main reason of the fatigue has nothing to do with either it's resort or LOB. It's simply because they are dehydrated. All divers do not drink enough water. That would be the first key thing. Yeah. So it's not about the 4 dives, because if they really want to dive, they can do 6 dives and they come out, they're still like, I saw that thing just now. It's not about
And also the partying, yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
But then, from what I see, liveaboards start early. Yeah, you wake up at 6, you have an early breakfast, and then 7 a.m. You're in the water for your first dive. And then they usually do 4 dives. Yeah. Some liverboards, the 4th dive is a night dive, but some, the 4th dive is a day dive, late afternoon. So they try to squeeze everything in. Whereas resort, your boat, first dive is at 8 p.m., 8:30, yeah.
But if you go to Sipadan, Mabo, if you do Sipadan dive for every day, it's the same. Right? You supposed to do 3 dives, you come back, you can still squeeze in 1 more dive, and then you can still squeeze in 1 night dive, so that will be 5 dives. Not recommendable, but yeah, you can still squeeze in 5 dives a day. Yeah, but
So you're saying there's no difference in fatigue?
no difference for me personally,
Okay.
because I observe all my divers. The moment they have enough rest, enough water, I think they normally feel better. Yeah.
I feel that I rest more in LOB.
Are you one of those that sleep after every dive?
Not really, but I feel that because of the time savings at the speedboat, there's a lot more time to watch the sun, the moon, the sky, the clouds pass by, as compared to on resorts. I feel that I'm constantly looking at the watch. It's like be at the dive center at this time. By the time you come back, it's like in half an hour you got to go back there again. So there's a lot of like timekeeping at the resort because we need to travel, to get there. So I find that time goes by way more faster in resort as compared to LOB. It's more relaxed, calming. I don't know. Personal preference.
That's a good point, especially if the dive center is so far at the end of the jetty. Yeah, Jay?
I think one thing for a liveaboard is you have to know your limit. Although it offers 4 dives a day, make sure you know when to stop. Choose your dives wisely.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So, of course, liveaboard, like you say, we start very early, 6 o'clock. So, if you're not well rested at the night, you can always keep the morning dive. So don't be afraid of, losing your dive, not being able to see what the other people saw. There's always time for you to revisit the site later on other trips. So drink a lot, rest well. You can do up to 4 dives a day, but rest in between. So change your clothes, make sure you're kept warm. So that also helps you to regulate your body. Make sure you're feeling less tired. Yeah.
And then on liverboards, you start early, you finish early. After dinner, everyone goes to bed. So make sure you go to bed and not watch Netflix until 1 a.m. Huh? Yeah, that's true. And then, so for people who have never been on a liverboard before and they really want to try, but they're scared, they're curious, what have you got to say to them? Do you have any advice for these guys?
I think it's the same as when you started diving. You're scared, but you wanted to do it. So same with liveaboard, give it a try. If you like meeting people, if you like, meeting new people, liveaboard is the best way because you're on a ship. There's nowhere else to go. You're on a boat. You can't hide except in your room. So you will need to mingle and socialize, right? So if you're that type of people, do try LOB. But if you're the type that you want your quiet time, I think probably the resort is better suited for you.
So you're saying introverts should stick to resorts?
But they can still try LOB, it's not a problem. If you think it's too much, you can always run to your room, have your rest, no problem.
And there are always upper decks. You can go to the upper deck, on the sun deck to rest. Yeah. Pagan, anything to...
First, buy your dive insurance before you go to any LOB. Okay, this coming from a professional. Get it done. Second, I think you need to pack a lot. You need to know yourself and get a lot of your medicine because you're in the middle of nowhere, and you know your allergies, you know your medications well. So you should be prepared to bring more of that instead of relying on the boat has it and things like that, right? And then apart from that, get a poncho because I think a lot of ladies get cold after the dive. So get that and get more swimwear so you can change every other dive because the waiting time between one dive and the next can be a bit long, right?
So there are some people who bring a few wetsuits.
Oh. Maybe if the luggage weight is variable, then yeah, bring more wetsuits. Why not? I think it's nice to start the dive with the warm clothes, instead of wet clothes. Yeah, that's a tip, Winnie.
I guess some things to prepare for LOB. Get ready your entertainment. You may want to pre-download your favorite movie or drama series. Pre-download your songs.
Your fellow divers can also be your entertainment.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're an extrovert, you can, get to know people. If you're an introvert, bring your own
Playing
book.
cards.
Yeah, so
Board games.
Yes, so bring your favorite snacks because unlike resort dives, there is a grocery store or a mart in the resort that you can go and get your cup noodles or nuts or whatsoever. If you're on a lift or board, once you're in the middle of the ocean, there's no backup. So yeah, be prepared for that.
From my experience, if you're traveling with Asians, there will always be lots of food on liveaboards. They bring the dried sambal. They bring all kinds of stuff. So you'll never run out of spices. Oh yeah, and the kwachi, sunflower seeds.
I have been to the Maldives trip, but the entire trip there's only one bottle of sambal. Guess how long that lasted? 2 minutes.
One night. Okay, so let's say you go to a place where the money is not an issue. Price is the same. You get to see the same thing. The guides have the same experience. Which would you choose, resort or liveaboard?
LOB, definitely.
Why?
It's for the convenience, for the wider coverage that it offers, for ease of, like for me, I want to do my prayers, I want to take off my tudung. So that offers me comfort and also easy access to everything. Yeah. Because if you stay at the resort, like Pagan said just now, you may do 3 dives a day only, then come back. So you have to be in your wet clothes for the entire day, right? And then you have to travel on the boat until you get back. So LOB offers better convenience for me.
I will also prefer LOB because I organize that, right? So in an LOB, they cannot go anywhere. I can always find my divers. Purely from a safety issue, yeah.
So they can't run away.
They cannot. And if they misplace anything, it will be on the boat somewhere. Yeah. Purely from that perspective. Yeah.
I too prefer LOB because when do you get to be totally off everything? I like the fact that I'm surrounded by water in the middle of nowhere. The sun, the sky, and the moon look different every different hour of the day. It's nice. It's a calming effect just to be rocking few nights a day, few nights a week being out there. And like what Pagan say, land resort, you do a lot of activities around the resort. But LOB, you got no choice. Things happen around the boat. You jump off for snorkeling, for swimming, and you will never know what animals will come by the boat. Turtles appear, whale sharks appear, manta appear while you are there. So that's something very interesting that the resort can't really experience.
But all these things that appear, it's not any LOB, yeah?
All my
Let's make it clear. You say whale shark appear, mantas appear, not any LOB. Then people will go on an LOB nearby and expect all that.
No, but you will never get that from resort. You won't get that from resort at all. This is a LOB thing, right?
Okay, now you mentioned safety.
Yeah.
I would like to touch that. Okay, what about safety? You read all kinds of things in the news. This liveaboard burned down, this liveaboard sank. You hardly hear about resorts, right? News, different kinds. So what would you tell the people who want to take a liveaboard but they're scared, because of all the safety issues?
Definitely, you need to have insurance. Diving insurance, travel insurance. These two are very important. Yeah. So of course,
There's an insurance just there.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's
Yeah.
overseas.
So all these disasters, of course, you can't control them. If it happens, it happens. It's just too bad you're there at the wrong time, at the wrong LOB. But for safety purposes, always make sure that you buy your insurance before at least 2 weeks your travel date. Yeah, before your travel date. So in case there are any disasters, whether it's natural, whether it's that you need to evacuate everything, you're covered.
I think it is important for you as a diver, and then you can also ask, if you have a trip leader, also ask your trip leader what kind of safety precaution that the resort, especially the LOB, provide. Like 100% oxygen, do they have that? Do they have the med kits, right? Is the boat insured themselves? Those kind of stuff. These are the questions that I know normally the dive leader will ask, but as a diver, I think it also helps that you ask that question as well, so that you know if there's any case, like especially like in Maldives, when you dive deep, then there is a 100% oxygen available on the boat immediately after. Yeah, I think that's important.
I think also do a bit of homework on the boat operator, the condition of the boat, the vessel that you're going in. I think that helps.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Operator is very important, right? Do your research, find out an operator that has a good reputation, good track record. Sometimes when something is too good to be true, it really is too good to be true. So please, if someone is selling something too cheap or just something sounds off, yeah, just please double check.
Yeah, like my first Komodo trip, the engine failed. So we dived the same dive spot for 2 days. Really?
Oh, you say what? Your engine failed?
The engine failed, yeah.
So you stayed at the same dive spot for 2 days. 8 dives there.
Yes, it's true. Oh, it is true.
But I think on a different note, I would choose a resort if I were to do macro diving. Because macro, you do long dives and you don't move much. So when LOB, because you need to do 4 dives a day and you need to sometimes move, so they tend to cut the dives shorter. Between 45 minutes to maximum 1 hour. Whereas when you do a resort diving, you can go beyond 1 hour, of course subject to your air consumption lah. But generally that's why. So you choose what you want to do and also the locations that you're planning to go to. So sometimes LOB is a better choice, but resort can also offer you the same benefits based on the activities that you're planning for.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because as fun as Liveaboard is, they have a schedule. Like, tomorrow morning we need to be in this destination. So you have to cut the dive short, and then current or wind, they have to sail. They need to cross to that destination. Yeah, it's like, example, Banda Sea. It's a 15-hour crossing to get to your first destination. You wake up in the morning, you need to dive. So they wake you up at, what time? At 4:30? We get up at 4:30 in the morning, briefing, 5, we're in the water. Because you want to squeeze 4-day dives. And then you finish your 4-day dive, you can't do 90-minute dives. They're like, nope, 60 minutes. Because after your 4th dive, they need to pack up and you need to sail another 10 hours to your next destination. So there's less freedom, less leeway than sometimes with resorts like Lembe. You can do 2-hour dives. And yeah, you can come back late for lunch. It's fine. They'll just reheat the food for you. Yeah, so do you have any closing messages to people out there who would like to try their first LOB?
Just do it. have fun, because anything can happen on any trip, not just on LOB. So go with an open mind. Don't set any expectations like, okay, I go to Indonesia, I want to see hammerhead, for example. Don't set that expectation. Go with an open mind. So what you get, you will be surprised. Yeah? So just go give it a try. My advice is try somewhere that's a short trip first, because if you're not sure whether you're okay or not with boat diving, go for probably a 3-day trip. Like for example, in Thailand, we also have Sipadan LOB. You also have Tioman LOB. Give it a shot. See whether you are okay with it or not. If you're okay, then you try and proceed with a longer trip.
So don't do 12-day, 11-night Galapagos.
No, that's the first time.
Bring me. Yeah, I would say that for building on from what Jay said, and then just reiterating what I said. When you pick actually a dive LOB, like just pick a good one. So do your due diligence and bring your mats, buy your dive insurance. Very important. Yeah, Minnie.
I think dive safe, get yourself ready, because once you go, sometimes you have the privilege of diving with your friends. I've tried going on an LOB all by myself and make like 15 new friends on board. When you're on your own, you need to know your own dive limits, your own medication. Know that once you're in an LOB, help is quite remote. If anything were to happen to you, the whole boat have to kind of cater for you. So I think everybody needs to dive safe, know your own limit, know when to stop and rest. So I think, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. Make new friends, share different cultures, and enjoy the stories on board. Make new friends for enclosed, being trapped for 7 days, 5 days. It's a new experience. It's fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's very fun. All right. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Pleasure having you.